Eli- Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman physician. Content: family, early life, education and success, career, personal life, legacy, quote, and works cited page. Family. Her parents, Samuel Blackwell and Hannah Lane, met as fellow Sunday school teachers in a Congregationalist chapel in Bristol, and were married on 27 September 1815. Siblings: Anna was born in 1816, Mary Ann 1818, Elizabeth 1821, Samuel Charles. There was two kids that were stillborns. They were pursuing for Samuel Charles as a name, as you can tell, because then after that they did have they finally got the boy named Samuel Charles in 1823. After that was Henry in 1825, Emily 1826, Ellen 1828, Howard 1831, and the youngest, George Washington 1832. Early life. Her father was a successful sugar refiner whose livelihood depended entirely on raw material produced by slaves working under the peculiarly horrific conditions of the Caribbean sugar plantations, which later burned down in 1828. Therefore, the Blackwells had great upbringing in Bristol, surrounded by good food, servants, music, humor, and beautiful holidays, so that their household was for the most part cheerful. In 1824, Blackwell's father's business was thriving. They moved to a great location in Bristol when she was 3 years old. Their home was expensively furnished with solid rosewood furniture, with a large garden filled with fruit trees and raspberry bushes. The family refinery burned down in 1828, forcing the family to migrate to New Jersey, and later to Cincinnati. After her father's passing, she moved to Kentucky to work as a teacher to help contribute to the family. Education and success. 1839, takes a teaching career in Kentucky. 1845, studies medicine in North Carolina, earned income by being a music teacher. 1847, she attends college in New York. In 1849, just 2 years later, she becomes the first woman to earn a degree in the U.S. In 1857, she opens an infirmary for women and children in New York. 1868, she establishes a women's medical college. Just a year after, in 1869, along with Florence Nightingale, opens Women's Medical College in England. And from 1874 through 1907, she is a gynecologist professor at a London school. Abolitionist like her father. Her father's ambiguous position as both anti-slavery protagonist and sugar refiner was echoed in Elizabeth's own effort to reconcile divine law with the great medical discoveries of her century. Slavery in North Carolina was practiced with great severity. They made 20% of the population. Elizabeth was determined to do everything in her power to educate them, despite the fact that it was illegal to teach slaves to read or write by setting up Sunday school. These both facts I did learn in the excellent Dr. Blackwell book that was published in 2013. Although her father's income and came from a sugar factory and had slaves, he was very much against it. Growing up, Elizabeth and her siblings made it a point to not just fight for the slaves, but As her, she was a woman, it was very hard for her voice to be heard. So as she was waiting, for slavery to do come to an end, or if so, get a little bit better as time went by, her her way of contributing to, making them feel better was opening up a Sunday school. As mentioned, that was against the law, but she had a strong willpower, and she did believe that slavery was a horrible way to treat humans. And she did want to educate them, as education was part of just her, and by teaching them how to read and write, to her, that was one of her greatest accomplishments. Elizabeth Blackwell did not always dream of becoming a doctor, but she first considered, after having a conversation with her dying neighbor, woman, of uterine cancer. She complained to her that the examination she had undergone at the hands of unskilled male doctors was as unpleasant as the disease itself. Most women, for reasons of modesty, were reluctant to visit a physician on gynecological matters. This was stated in the excellent Dr. Blackwell book, which was published in 2013. She, as mentioned, she always had a passion for education, but never in her wildest dream did she believe she was gonna be considering as far as to be a doctor. Her being a woman, she started to see it only made sense that she wanted to make society a better place for women as well, and more comfortable. So what better way to start looking into education in the medical field and accomplish such a great thing. After getting accepted to Geneva Medical College in upstate New York, she quickly learned that most students weren't in favor of her admission. It later emerged that a number of them had assumed that the whole episode was a hoax, devised by students from a neighboring college. But that was short-lived. The January end-of-term examination, as not much as a test as she described, and she passed easily, and was followed by disappointment when the letters of introduction had been promised failed to materialize. Without them, she knew she stood little chance of gaining admissions to a hospital in Philadelphia. January 1849, she ranked first in her class and became the first woman in the United States to graduate from medical school. As it was stated in the beginning, when she first applied to the college, the people in admissions did not know how to proceed with this. They had never had a woman applied for any college, not, more or less a medical school. So they turned it over to the student body. Student body, when they were asked to vote for or against it, they did believe it was a prank played by another college. So they went ahead and all voted for yes to accept, the first female as a student there at the college. When they realized it was not a prank, and they did say Elizabeth Blackwell started attending school and how much she was striving in her studies and her exams, they started to take it serious and kind of did put a stop after that first semester into those letters of recommendation she was promised. After that, she did have another doctor, that saw her potential, and he wrote letter to the college stating that, she was a great asset to the college, and she was a great, uh, she was great, at studying to be a doctor, that he was for it. So it was until then that they wrote back to her and to come back to medical school and finish. And in 1849, she did become the first woman and also ranked first in the college and graduated. While working at La Maternité for a midwife's course in France to continue to her studies, at the time, ophthalma neonatorium was so widespread among babies born of mothers infected with gonorrhea. It was the biggest cause of childhood blindness until treatment was developed in 1881. She acquired the disease on her left eye as she had been syringing the infected eye of a baby and squirted onto hers. Elizabeth had to undergo surgery to remove eye and replaced it with a glass eye. She did go and worked at this hospital, as it was stated, to continue her studies. And this was a huge outbreak at where she was at. She was caring for an infant and cleansing his eyes when she got it on her own. She did lose her eye due to this disease. In 1857, Elizabeth Blackwell opened the New York Infirmary for Women and Children alongside her sister Emily, who took charge in 1856. It was already known to be a women's medical college. Elizabeth Blackwell also helped found the National Health Society and published several books, including autobiography, pioneer work in opening the medical profession to women in 1895. Her relevance. Elizabeth Blackwell opened many doors to women, not only in education but in the medical field. Reading on her life story and all her tribulations she had to endure, especially through women's suffrage era, gives me a sense of great pride to be a woman and how far we have come in society. It's no secret that together we can achieve more, and our history shows exactly that. Because pioneers and advocates in equality like Elizabeth Blackwell, we cannot pursue our dreams. If society will not admit of women's free development, then society must be removed. This is by far my favorite quote from Miss Elizabeth Blackwell.